Hello, freedom lovers. Wanted to give you a quick update. First, I'm still alive. Secondly, still being controversial. Muhammad, what big cheeks you have. Anyway, I want to tell you what was going on. In all seriousness, I was thrilled with the verdict last week in the Boston plot to behead me. As you may or may not know, there was a plot to remove my head from my body by a Muslim group in Boston. Apparently one of the jihadis got bloodlusty and tried to kill a cop, and the cop killed him. That's what I call a happy ending. The ringleader, Dawood Wright, was found guilty last week on all counts. This is you would think, an elemental, of course not surprising moment, but that's not true. Because the fact is, the media, academia, movies, music have become so Sharia compliant. And I was blamed, yes, I was blamed after Garland, as if I made the cartoons a flashpoint. Oh, by the way, this is the winning cartoon. You can get it if you want it, atlasstore.com, atlasstuff.com, with the links on my site. I'm not selling t-shirts, it's not the point. The point is I will wear the t-shirt. That's the point. The point is I'm living in America, and that's why I wrote the book Fatwa, Hunted in America. Because you know I never talk about the personal aspect of my life, the private, but we're reaching a tipping point and people need to know, and that's why I wrote the book. And I'm praying that Dawood gets life in prison, because you think, well, of course he is. Don't say of course to anything. The fact that he was guilty on all counts shows that there was a rational jury that saw past all the blame and the attacks on me, right? Imagine, go back in time now. It's the 70s, it's the 80s, it's the 90s, and I have a crystal ball and I tell you that there's this enormous cartoon controversy and people are getting killed. Embassies are burning, Danish cartoons. Christians are being slaughtered because of cartoons. People would say, oh my God, what did Disney do? It would be unheard of. Because freedom of speech is the foundation of a free society. And without it, a tyrant can wreak havoc unopposed while his opponents are silenced. Are you going to put up with that? The American people are being disarmed in the information battle space. It's like they're Helen Keller and someone moved the furniture. You have to get armed in the war of ideas. My book will do just that, because you must learn everything. And not only will my book teach you and your friends about what's really happening, what's really being kept from you, okay? It's a true story, one that Hollywood would never make. But it's also an act of defiance. To buy this book will piss care off. Do you want to piss care off? Buy this book. Walk down the street with this book and smile. Yeah, that's what you have to do. So I am praying that Dawood Wright gets life, because you know, in Garland, Texas, the ringleader, Abdul Karim, who was found guilty and faced 45 years to life, didn't get that. He got 30 because the judge, the uninformed Dhimmi judge, Judge Susan Bolton, decided that it really wasn't an attack on the government or our way of life or even an act of treason or what have you. It was just against the event. What was the event? It was an art exhibit in America. That was a direct attack on our way of life. That was a direct attack on our government. It was a direct attack on us, and he should have gotten life in prison. So you can't assume anything. And why are these things happening? I don't think it's evil. I'll tell you what evil is in a second. I don't think it's evil. I think it's cluelessness. And we have been rendered, except for you because you're listening to this, but literally, the American people have been rendered ignorant and uninformed in what is the gravest threat to our national security. Fatwa tells my story, how I went from this quintessential New York City career girl who loved her music, her art, her fashion, her books. She loved to dance at Bruno's, that kind of thing. Apolitical, assume my freedom, good cop on the world beat, we defeated evil, World War II. My freedom wasn't in jeopardy. Wrong. And 9/11 showed me that. My whole premise was shattered, came down with those buildings, and I felt guilty I didn't know how to attack the country. And when I found out, I felt guiltier still that I didn't understand the ideology. To me, Islam was like Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Church of Scientology, Judaism, whatever. It was a religion. Wrong. Yeah, it's a religion, but it's also a military system, a legal, dietary, social, cultural, comprehensive system. And it is genocidal and homicidal. And so here we are 16 years later, and I'm the monster. If you told me on September 12, 2001, that those of us that were fighting in defense of freedom would be demonized, marginalized, and rendered radioactive, made into monsters, I would have had you institutionalized, okay? And just to show you what a threat this book is, Fatwa Hunted in America, do you know, and don't get confused, this is what I mean by evil. The left created a book, Fatwa Hunted in America, somehow hacked into my Amazon page, and made their parody by, get this, Pamela Lewinsky. So the implication is that what? I have sex or give whatever sexual favors to get ahead. This is getting ahead, right? And Lewinsky, by the way, is misogynistic, right? And it's anti-Semitic. That's the left. That's the left. So they created this book, and somehow they got the paperback link on my page. And by the way, it was selling. So I called, I had it delinked. It's not the point. This is how desperate they are to kill anyone, anything who speaks the truth. That's where we are. This warrants a death threat. That's why when I say the good news is I'm still alive, is I'm still alive. And I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. And if you support my work, and you support Milo, who published this book, a book that book publishers won't publish. You think I could have gotten a book published by Simon Schuster named Fatwa? Really? It's amazing that Larry David can talk about it. And while he's making a joke out of it, which is what he does, I'm glad at least that he's teaching people what it is. So, I urge you to get the book as an act of defiance, as a protest. Get Fatwa. Shove it in their faces. First. Second of all, watch the Boston sentencing. Because these people, these jihadists go to jail, they get their 3 halals a day, they get their sidurs, they get their prayer mats, they have other co-religionists with which they plot and plan, and they convert because, you're a special class in prison. Prisons have become hotbeds of jihad recruitment, and so they infect other inmates. Putting up with being offended is essential to a pluralistic society where people differ on basic truths. This is not rocket science. If a group will not bear being offended without resorting to violence, that group will rule unopposed while everybody else lives in fear. And while other groups curtail their activities to appease the violent group. This results in the violent group being able to tyrannize the others. That's where we are. I urge you to take a stand. I urge you to stand with me. I urge you to get this book, Fatwa Hunted in America. It will blow you away. That this is, listen, I'm but a proxy in this war. What happened to me with the Ground Zero Mosque, with the ads, with the lawsuits, Rifka Barry helping Muslim girls who don't want to wear the hijab, helping them get to safe spaces. What happened to me happens to every American in small and large ways who stands in defense of freedom. The American people are woefully, painfully unaware. We're on the same road as Europe, and Europe literally is engaged in a civil war. Every single day there are jihad attacks, every single day, that you don't hear about, unless you're subscribing to the Geller Report, GellerReport.com or PamelaGeller.com. It's free. That's free. The only price I ask you to pay is to get the book. That's it. They won't put it in bookstores. They're not going to put me on television, and I can assure you the New York Times is not going to review it. Just put your foot down. This is the most serious threat. This leftist Islamic alliance, this red-green alliance, statism, collectivism. The left loves statism, communism, Stalinism, National Socialist Workers' Party, which is Nazism. Read Mein Kampf. He was a vicious Jew hater, Hitler was. Yes, but he was a hard leftist. This idea that it's a far-right ideology, who puts that out there? The left, in the media, academia, movies, music, movies. Every time there's a terrorist in the movies, you ever notice? it's a Russian or a Serb. There have been over 31,000 deadly Islamic attacks, not including thwarted, not including those that were just wounded. 31,000 deadly Islamic attacks since 9/11, each one with the imprimatur of a Muslim cleric. And they won't talk about it. I really don't care about Harvey Weinstein and what he did. Those women could have walked out of that hotel room. Would you go to a hotel room to have a business meeting? And if the man was there in a towel, would you stay? I know I wouldn't. I'm sorry, no sympathy. They sold themselves. Listen, prostitutes sell themselves for money. They sold themselves for parts. I don't feel sorry for them. Now they're all jumping on the bandwagon because it's chic. Oh, go walk in a woman's march with pussy hats on your head. So not going there. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent and I apologize. But we're seeing this Sharia compliance with our law enforcement agencies. This is all in my book. The FBI was at Garland. The FBI was planning on in the plotting of Garland. We know this because we saw the text between the FBI and the jihadists in an indictment of a jihadi who was Eric Jamal Hendricks, who was involved in the plotting of the Garland jihad attack on our free speech event. They were in the car behind the jihadists. They got out of the car, took cell phone footage before the jihadis, Ibrahim Simpson and Nadia Sufi, started firing, and they got in the car and drove away. Were actually pulled over by Garland police. The Garland police thought that they were in on the plot, but they didn't have anybody there to protect us. They knew that we were going to be attacked. They knew that it was an assassination plot, and the FBI did not have anyone there to protect us. It was my security team, it was my SWAT team that I hired that took out those two jihadis. So when they want to take away your Second Amendment, remember that. The FBI, let's go back to Orlando, Pulse nightclub shooting. Omar Mateen opening fire on nightclub revelers at a gay nightclub. Calls 911, pledges his allegiance to the Islamic State, and 10 months after the Pulse jihad attack, the FBI says, we don't know what his motive was. This is a war in the information battle space. I see it happening in Vegas. Look, I don't know what happened in Vegas, but I do know a couple things. ISIS never takes credit for events that are not theirs. They took credit for the Russian jetliner in the Sinai that went down. Law enforcement authorities poo-pooed it, dismissed it. They released photographic evidence weeks later. And so, of course, law enforcement had to, backpedal with their tail between their legs. In the Philippines, in June, the casino, Resorts World, was attacked. ISIS took credit, was poo-pooed, said it was a robbery, though nothing was robbed. Okay? And now it turns out it was sanctioned, if not directed. I can tell you a couple things about Stephen Paddock. First, he made multiple trips to the Middle East. Are they investigating his itinerary? Who did he meet with? How come a reporter never asked that question? His girlfriend had relatives in Dubai. Over 200 of his foreign financial transactions going back to 2014 were flagged for possible covert terrorism financing. Why doesn't one reporter at these press conferences about the Vegas attack ask, do you know that he was not a convert to Islam? The fact that no one's talking about Vegas, the most barbaric, there's no words. It's unspeakable, that attack. Monstrous. You listen to gun enthusiasts who heard those videos of the gunfire, they say that wasn't bum shock. That's a machine gun. And those were outlawed, by the way. Those were made illegal all the way back to like John Dillinger. That's how far back we're going. My point is, there's so much you don't know. You got to read my book, Fatwa Hunted in America. You want to piss care off, you're going to buy it. It's an act of defiance. Are you going to subjugate yourself? Are you going to abridge your freedom so as not to offend savages? That's my question to you. This idea of Islamophobia, it's a thought-crushing device designed to silence any criticism of Islam. Are you going to accept that? I'm telling you, you have to take a stand. This is a way to take a stand. Listen, you know how hard I work. You know I put my life on the line. You know I would do it all again. Because the alternative, doing nothing, is scarier. And so I ask you to support my work. This is the most important way you can support my work. A, to show the book publishers that people want these books and they need to publish them. B, to support Milo, who created this book publishing house because Simon Schuster canceled his contract. So this would be, seriously, a bit of a taunt. Well, not a bit of a taunt, a giant taunt where he starts his publishing house, he publishes my book, and people buy it. It's huge. I can't tell you how important it would be. It would be monumental. It would be a game changer. So I want to thank the courageous jurors in Boston who looked past all of the nonsense and the dimitude and the Sharia compliant media and criticism and Hollywood, you know, and rhinos, the Republicans who also blamed me and saw that this was an attack on our very basic First Amendment. So thank you to those jurors. I pray that the judge will do the right thing and give this, I mean, look, and to me, an act of treason, and that's what this is punishable by death. We don't have that, but at least a life sentence. And I want to thank you for your support. I hope you share this link with the people on your Facebook page. There are only a handful of us that are doing this work, and we need more people, because the more people stand up, they can't kill everybody. And on that note, be good.
We will make America great again.